Hey there, Ashland. It's Martha Miller here with your town tea for the first week of April. So council met this week, and it was a little bit of a lighter agenda this week than we've had recently, but we had a presentation from the Central Virginia Transportation Authority about that regional collaboration that the town of Ashland is a member of around transportation and roadway improvements. So if you're interested in those topics, feel free to take a look at that. And then our town manager's performance evaluation was discussed at the meeting lightly, but also just praise for his continued hard work here. And the town is just very lucky to have a professional manager in Mr. Farah. So if you're interested in the details of that evaluation and objectives for the town manager for the next year as set by town council, you can take a look at that section of the meeting as well. So since it was a light agenda, I'm just going to touch on a couple other things going around town real quickly while I have you. So we know there's a lot of road construction going on right now, right? We have some improvements happening along Route 1. We have the England Streetscape project, which is kind of an ongoing project, and some lane closures associated with that throughout the next week or so as crews continue, as well as paving of Henry Street there throughout the college. A note on that last one, the reason that is happening now is because Randolph-Macon is on spring break. So it's a good opportunity to kind of get that work done while the majority of students and staff are not actively on campus. We recognize that this combination of events can create a lot of travel headaches for you all, as well as just noise and general unpleasantness around town. But we do appreciate your patience. These are all good, positive improvements. And, as we know, progress rarely comes without a little bit of pain. So just thank you for your patience. And if you're looking for kind of more play-by-play updates on those projects, please feel free to go over to our website, subscribe to the newsletter, or notify me on our website, which you can select projects to receive notifications. And we look forward to the end result of those great projects. Secondly, the passenger information display systems down at the Ashland train stop there at our Ashland Visitor Center, they have been turned on by Amtrak. Those are in what the Amtrak refers to as a live testing phase right now. So they are functional, but they are actively monitoring, and the town is actively monitoring those systems to determine if they're working as intended and if any tweaks are needed. So if you go down to the train station or you take a train, you may see those and hear some loudspeaker announcements associated with it. And so please do let us know. Feel free to send an email to info@ashlandva.gov if you encounter them making an error. And so they're in the process of testing those to make sure those work appropriately before we kind of formally roll those out. Another note is we've had a couple comments about the audible loudspeaker announcements down there. We do recognize this introduces additional noise to that area, and that may come as a surprise to people, and others may find it as unpleasant. But in our conversations with Amtrak, we have tried to adjust those noise levels so that they aren't overly loud for that area. However, the thing to keep in mind is while those passenger information display systems are a great convenience and an added benefit, really they are an ADA compliance tool. So they are a mandated safety requirement that Amtrak has to install at their stops. And with that requirement becomes certain noise and volume levels that have to go with it for those that are visually impaired. So imagine if you're standing on the platform and a train is approaching, or a CSX train is on the other track, and you cannot read, either because you have a visual disability or complete blindness, you cannot read the signage there. You need to be able to hear which track that train is coming on and at what time in order to safely board that train. And so while it may be different to hear those noises coming through our town, there are legal requirements associated with those, and we are kind of actively working with Amtrak to make sure that we strike that balance between what is audible legally required, as well as not too disruptive. You also may notice that some of those announcements contain information that don't pertain to our station, like checked baggage and TSA. Those are just kind of an initial rollout, the kind of canned announcements that Amtrak has in the system. They will be working on custom announcements for the station, which I anticipate will be a little bit shorter because there are a lot of amenities provided at fully staffed stations that we do not have. So there are no need for those announcements. So again, we recognize that the change may be a little bit alarming to some folks, but overall the design is in place to improve and enhance safety, especially for those that require mobility, accessibility standards in place, and to make sure that all passengers, no matter of their ability levels, can access our trains safely. Okay, so just wanted to make sure I pointed that out to everyone. All right, but again, if you have questions about that, feel free to email me at info@ashlandva.gov. And then finally, I just wanted to note a couple things coming up. So our next council meeting is on April 15th. The thing I want to note about that is that is the session in which the town manager will present his proposed budget for the year. So this is kind of the final presentation from the town manager. Then it goes into council's hands at that point to make any large scale changes. Again, the small scale changes and major directions, those were discussed at the budget work sessions back in March, but this is really the town manager's kind of final proposed budget that would go on potentially for adoption by our town council in June. So please tune in for that if you're interested. And then finally, something fun to do this weekend, the Ashland Artists Showcase is happening at Hanover Arts and Activity Center on Friday and Saturday of this week. That's April 4th and 5th. And that's a great venue to check out art from a lot of local artists, to support local artists at really good prices, to spruce up your living or workspaces. So please feel free to check that out, and you can find details on that event at Hanover Arts and Activities Center's website. All right, Ashland, that's all I've got for you. Have a great weekend.